Hi, my name is Faye and you're watching Mystery Date with a Book. Today we're doing something special, something a bit unusual. I usually talk about books, especially fantasy and middle grade books. If you're into books, please consider following me, subscribe, yeah. But sometimes I will also talk about teacher training. I'm a primary school teacher. It's my second year as a primary school teacher. So that training is still kind of fresh in my mind, kind of. I have the memory of a goldfish, but I do have notes. So, that's okay. Okay, I asked you for questions because there's no point in me just sitting here and talking about teacher training if I'm not giving you the information that you need, the information that you want. So, I asked for questions and you delivered. I have 12 questions here, so without further ado, before my battery dies, let me just check. Yep. Before my battery dies, we're gonna get straight into this. First question. Okay, this is from Connor. Connor Stompanato. I'm not very good with names, so I'm not gonna say people's names, okay? I'm just gonna leave a little picture down below. It's easier. Right, okay. This is an interesting video. I've been considering going into teaching business at high school level. How much time do you spend on your work outside of the classroom hours? Okay, that depends. It depends on your school, depends on where you're working at or where you're doing your placement at. When I was doing my placement, I was working until 10, 11 o'clock at night easily because I had to plan all my lessons from scratch. Nobody was helping me. I wasn't following a scheme or anything. I just had to, the teacher gave me a topic and I had to teach that for a certain amount of time. So it depends on where you're based. At that school I was at, I had to work for hours and hours and hours. I didn't have a weekend. I worked. I spent all my time marking work, planning lessons, gathering resources, and things like that. So my life was about that placement. Yes, I had no time for anything else. I hated it. I hated it. It was the worst time of my life. Not the worst, but you know what I mean. It was just not ideal. Now I'm in a school. Well, I'm a substitute teacher, so technically I could be working anywhere. But I always work in this one school that we have here local, and it's wonderful because it's, well, first of all, it's a four form entry school, so there's 4 groups for each year group. It's a massive primary school. So every week you get together with the other teachers in that year group and you plan together. They follow a scheme for maths, they follow a scheme for English, they follow a scheme for religion. So there's not much planning going on, which is absolutely amazing. It gives me time to breathe, to be a human, to make dinner if I want to. Usually my dad cooks, but still, you know what I mean. Yeah, I have a weekend again. It's brilliant. So it depends on where you're based. It depends on your school, really. You could be working for 12 hours a day in a school, and then you could be working for about an hour or so after school, and that's it in another school. Does that make sense? Yeah, you could be working all day, or you could be working just that one extra hour after the children go home. It depends. Okay, thanks for that question. Okay, now next one. I'm not gonna say any names, okay? So, but yeah. Hi, Victoria. Love this. I'm a PGCE student right now, and I'm wondering what to expect during my NQT years. Can't wait for the video. NQT. Now, NQT, if you're not familiar with that, NQT means newly qualified teacher. So if you're a newly qualified teacher, you're an NQT teacher. As soon as you graduate, as soon as you finish your formal training at university, you are an NQT that first year. Now this is the biggest difference between Northern Ireland and England when it comes to teacher training. In England you get 1 year of NQT. In Northern Ireland you get 3 years of this NQT period. First you get an induction year where you're observed and you have to keep a portfolio, and then you do your EPD1 and EPD2, so that's 3 years in total. EPD stands for early professional development. So you do your induction, your EPD1, and your EPD2. I'm in my second year, so I'm in my EPD 1. You basically just get observed and keep a portfolio of things that you do. It doesn't take much of your time. Now in England, when you're an NQT, you get extra planning time, and it's always good to keep a portfolio as well. I'm not sure if you have to do assignments or not. I'm not sure. I don't think you have to do assignments, but I've heard something about NQTs doing assignments. I don't know. Don't quote me on this. I don't know. I know that all teachers in schools in England, they get PPA time, which is your planning, preparation, and assessment time, or something like that. It's your planning time during the week. It happens during school time, so whenever the children are there, somebody comes into your classroom to take over, and then you go and have that planning time. It's usually 10% of your time, so if you're teaching for 20 hours a week, you get 2 hours a week to do your planning time. When you're at NQT, you get an extra 10%. So instead of having 2 hours a week, you would get 4 hours a week. Now, this is in theory. I've never seen that happen in real life. Never. I've been to a few schools now, and I've never seen that happen in real life. You do get some PPA time. Some weeks you don't, because there's no one to cover you, so you just don't. You do your planning after school, after the children go home. What are you gonna do? Sometimes you just don't get enough time. You get like half an hour a week or something, and that's it. In this school where I'm at now, we do our planning after the children go home, and if you're working with the little ones, if you're working foundation stage and key stage 1, if you're working key stage 2, the children go home a little bit later, so somebody does come in and cover for you for about half an hour a week, which is not enough, but that school does follow a lot of schemes, so there's not much planning going on, so it works, it's okay. But yeah, I've never seen any school give teachers 2 hours a week for planning. It just doesn't happen. Sorry guys. Sorry if I've burst your bubble. Okay, next question. Hi, I'm doing my PGCE at the moment. Oh, well done. How did you manage your time between full-time placement and writing assignments? Okay, when I was doing my placements, I didn't have time for anything else. As I said before, I was working all day. I woke up at 6 in the morning to get ready and travel to my placement. Stay there until about 4:30, 5 in the afternoon in school. Then I traveled back home, and I worked until about 10 or 11 at night. So I had no time for assignments when I was in my placement. That was it. I was doing my placement. So most universities will give you 2 essays to write, 2 big essays to write, and they will give you a few weeks notice. So I can't remember how many weeks it is. I think it's between 6 and 10 weeks. Like, you have time to prepare. So whenever you're not doing your placement, like if you have half an hour on a Saturday, I would start working on it. Okay, so most people would wait until the last couple of weeks to do their assignment, to do their essay, because those last 2 weeks between your placement and when your assignment is due, you usually have lectures at uni, so you know you're not in placement anymore, so you can do your assignment. Most people did it during that last 1 or 2 weeks, depending on how much time you have there. I couldn't do it. I think it's very rushed. I couldn't do it. So every Saturday, I use about half an hour to an hour, just doing a little bit of research, so I got everything I needed. I could start writing maybe 1 or 2 sentences. You know, every little bit helped to get there. So whenever that last week between the placement and whenever the assignment was due, whenever we reached that point, I was ready to go. I gathered all my documents, all my files that I found, all the studies, and I would just do my essay. You know, you can't do your placement and your assignments at the same time. Sorry. No. Unless you don't sleep, but that's a bigger problem. Always sleep. Okay, here we go. Next, hi, I'm on a Teach First program. Yes, that's a different route for teacher training. So doing a PGD, but next year I'll essentially be an NQT. So wondering what an NQT year is like. Yes, I've already touched a bit on NQT and what it's like. I don't really have first-hand experience with NQT, but my friends tell me it's okay, you can manage. The workload is a bit crazy because you're teaching full-time now and you get observed. I'm not sure if you have to do assignments. I really don't know. I'm gonna get back to you on that one. Okay, next. Maybe it would be interesting to talk about parent-teacher relations. For example, how does it look in practice? Do you call, email them, or talk in person? Yes, we do all of that. Especially in primary school, I'm not sure about secondary school, but if a child is not feeling well, if a child is behaving in a different way, if you feel that something's not right, you call the parents to see what's happening. Sometimes there's a simple, honest explanation for it. It's maybe sometimes the child is just under the weather. Sometimes they're not feeling well. Sometimes they didn't get a good night's sleep. So that's why, their behavior's changed. So, yeah, we do call them. We email them, especially now with online teaching. The parents will email you asking for extra support or ask them for a feedback on a specific piece of work. Some parents can be very involved. Other parents keep their distance, and that's okay. But it's always good to keep that line of communication going with parents. Yes, because you're working together, and you both want what's best for the child. You both want them to do the best they can. So, for example, if you teach that child that 1 + 1 = 2 in school, every day you go over this, 1 + 1 = 2. When they get home and daddy says, no, 1 + 1 = 3, what do you think is going to go through that child's mind next time somebody asks them what's 1 + 1? They're going to be like, who's right? My teacher or my daddy? I don't know. So, we need to work together. That was a very simplistic example, but you know what I mean. We need to work together. We're a team when it comes to that child's education. So always keep that line of communication open. It's very, very important for that. Don't just get in touch with parents for a negative reason. Not just when, that child is causing problems in the classroom. Call them to compliment their child, Try to create a positive relationship. In person, we do talk to them in person even now. Well, not now because of online teaching, but whenever we were in school, the last few months of the year, between September and December there, the schools were open. We used to talk to parents at the gate. They weren't allowed into the school, but we used to talk to them quickly at the gate at the end of the day. Just say, yes, that child needs this, that child is misbehaving, they had a fight with so-and-so, but we talked about it, so please could you talk to your child, and blah, blah, blah. It happens, it's like a quick 2-minute parent-teacher meeting, and then you're off to the next parent. So, it's not a meme, but it's something that I've seen on the internet for years and years, and it's so relatable when you're a teacher. It's like your mind has 19 tabs open, and there's music coming from somewhere and you don't know where it's coming from. That's what it's like being a teacher. It's very intense. You have to be on your best. Just be alert. Because especially when you're working with little ones, things happen in 2 seconds. In 2 seconds, one of your children could just walk out of the line and cross the street and be right in the middle of traffic there. And no one has noticed because you're watching the other 28 children in your class. So it's not for everyone, but if you keep an eye on everyone, if you keep those 19 tabs open on your mind and you're aware of them the whole time, you'll be okay. Okay, Hi Faye, thank you for your video. I wonder, have you ever met any challenges when you're doing your PGCE, since English is your second language? I did struggle a little bit when I was doing my second placement because I was teaching the older children, 11-year-olds, and their topics, their curriculum is a lot more intense and developed than the little 5-year-olds I was teaching before. So yeah, I did struggle a little bit, but you know what? They knew me as the Irish teacher. I'm not Irish, but I spent half of my life here in Northern Ireland, and they knew me as the Irish teacher. So if I said something that sounded a bit funny, they would just think, oh, it's just the Irish teacher, she's just being Irish. So we moved on from that. Children are very forgiving, so you'll be fine. And if there's something you're not sure about during the lesson, maybe you're reading a book with a class and a word might come up that you don't know, you personally don't know what it means, or you don't know how to pronounce it. You could use that as a learning opportunity. Get them to look it up. Get them to look in the dictionary. Get them to Google it. Get them to search for the answers that they need. So, even your lack of English, in a way, your lack of knowledge, I can't speak today, even your lack of knowledge could be a strength if you use it in the right way. Use everything as a learning opportunity. Yeah? Get them to learn how to do research, how to ask other people. If you have a classroom assistant that's a native English speaker, ask them. There's no shame in that. The children should know that you as a teacher don't know everything. Teachers don't know everything. They're human. Okay, we're human. And it's okay for children to know that. If you make a mistake, quickly apologize and move on. That's it. Okay? Don't panic about it, because the more panicked you are, the more mistakes you're going to make. So just relax. It's fine. Even if English is your second language, you probably know more than the children you're teaching, especially if you're teaching primary school. Yeah. So you'll be fine. Don't worry. And you're working as a teaching assistant in a British school. So you already know what's expected of the teacher in that setting. You know the curriculum. You know the day-to-day life of a teacher in a British school. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. Really. Really, I'm not worried about you. Honestly, you're gonna be fine. You know what's expected. You know your English is obviously good enough to work in that school, so I think you'll be okay. I think you'll be alright. Okay, hi Faye. I'm starting my PGCE in 2 weeks. Whoop whoop! I'm quite nervous at the moment. Oh, don't be. English is also my second language, and I'm worried I won't be able to write my assignments and essays using the expected high academical and formal language. Assignments are the easiest part, okay, because you're not doing them in front of everyone. If you make a mistake, just delete it, go back and write it again. Every time I finish an assignment, after I finished it, I got a native English speaker who I trusted to read it for me. Make sure there are no grammar mistakes, make sure there are no spelling mistakes. I'm a stickler for spelling. It drives me crazy when people can't spell. Because, I've had to learn a whole new language from scratch. Why can't people learn how to spell there or your? It drives me crazy, but yeah. Yeah, don't worry. You'll be fine with your assignments. Did you also feel insecure when doing presentations or when you were teaching, doing observations, as English is also your second language? I still get terrified when I'm being observed. I get terrified. I don't like it. But as I said in a previous video, every teacher is a bit of an actor. When you're being observed, you completely ignore that person. That person is not there, okay? You're focused on your children. And if something goes wrong, don't worry about it. Move on. And you'll be fine. Honestly, people who are observing you are usually very forgiving. And, they know what it's like to be in your position. They know what you're going through, so don't worry about it. See, even when you're doing your NQT, when you finish uni, you have to be observed. So it doesn't usually go away. You'll always be observed every now and again as a teacher, so you just have to get used to it. I still hate it, but I've made my peace with it. I just accepted the fact that it's gonna happen. Yeah. Yeah. You'll be fine. You'll be okay. Okay, next one. Hi. You've been a great help to me already. Aw. But one of my main questions is this. I've already said I have never taught, but I'm comfortable communicating and very good with children. However, having not been in education for a while, will your maths, English, etc. be refreshed on the course before you get into it? At the very start of the course, at the very start of our PGCE, we had to sit and do a test on maths, English, and science. If you didn't get a good enough mark on those, you had to redo them at the end of your PGCE, and you had to pass it. You could do it. You could just redo the test as many times as you wanted at the end, just so as long as you pass the test before you graduate. We didn't really get that much teaching in those areas while we were doing our PGCE. There were lectures and seminars about maths and about English and about science, about all the foundation topics as well, but they didn't really teach you those things. They taught you how to ask better questions. They taught you how to present yourself better. They taught you how to interpret a text when you're reading, things like that, because they assume you already know the primary school curriculum or the secondary school whatever topic you're teaching. They expect you to know that. They expect you to be familiar with that subject. So no, you don't really get taught a lot, but I'm not sure if you're doing primary or secondary. If you're doing primary, because you're talking about two different subjects here, math and English, I'm assuming it's primary, you're going to be fine. Because, you know, it's very basic, you know, it's primary school. It's primary school. I'm sure you're going to be okay. Yeah. Just refresh your mind, really. Go on YouTube, go on Bite Size, you know, on the BBC website. Do a little bit of research just to refresh your mind, you know. I was, you know, I was in a very bad placement. As I said before, that second placement was really tough. So on my very first day on that placement, I was asked to teach long division. I'm telling you, it was a terrible placement. So I was there with a small group. I had about 4 or 5 children in that small group. On my very first day, I didn't even know their names. And I had to teach them long division. It was a baptism of fire. Thank goodness I'm okay with numbers. I'm okay with maths. So I knew how to do long division. But, don't worry about the noise. There are works going on. Sorry. Yeah, we'll just ignore that noise. So you have to be prepared for everything, okay? I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm just saying be prepared. If you know you're going into a placement in year 4, then look up their curriculum. See what they are being taught that year. Just get ready, just be prepared, okay? You'll be okay, because the teacher did ask me, are you okay with long division? Are you comfortable teaching it? I was like, sure, okay, yeah, I'll do it. Because I didn't want to seem like a coward. So, you know, I didn't want them to think I was just there to sit back and watch. Which I was meant to just sit and observe for the first week, but whatever, they put me to work. Yeah, so I think you're gonna be fine. Even if you have no expertise in any subject, which I don't either. I like reading. As I said before, I have a YouTube channel about books. I like reading, but I had never taught English before. It's completely different, enjoying a topic and actually teaching it. So you will get that experience on the job, you know, in school, doing your placement. And they don't expect you to know everything as soon as you walk through those doors, okay? They know you're a student. They know you're learning. Don't worry about it. Next, here we go. You mentioned under one of the videos you're from Brazil. Yes, I am. Do you implement Portuguese language into your lessons? No, not really. I'm in a very unique position here where I am. This school where I normally work at, it's it's known as a newcomer school because about 80%, I want to say 80% of our children are newcomers. That means they came from a different country and they have no English at all whenever they arrive. So, yeah, um, it's a very unique setting. It's a massive, massive school, and most children are newcomers. So, in a classroom, you could have 10 different nationalities, you could have 10 different languages going on already, and they're all trying to learn English. So, I wouldn't want to add to their stress, I wouldn't want to confuse them with another language on top of that. So, no, I wouldn't usually. But I did teach my children a couple of Portuguese words when I was doing my placement in that hell of a placement. I did a little session, a tiny little lesson about Brazil whenever I was introducing myself, and I taught them how to say hello, how to say please, just a couple of words in Portuguese. Just, just because, just make it sound more interesting. But no, I wouldn't do it here in this setting. It depends very much on where you are. Depends on where you're working. Know your audience. That's all I'm gonna say. Know your audience. Okay, next one. I'm currently taking a leave of absence from a secondary history PGCE, and I'm thinking about terminating this. Oh, to reapply to do a primary PGCE. Okay, so you're going from history to primary. Okay, but I need to get GCSE science to be accepted onto a course. Yes, you do. Would you recommend doing a condensed GCSE science online or at my local further education college part-time? It depends on where you're planning to go for your PGCE. Some universities won't take that online course seriously. They might just dismiss it completely. Others will take it and just accept it. So I would suggest doing a further education, proper college GCSE, which is what I did. I had to do that because I had to transfer my qualifications from Brazil to here. It's a long story. So yeah, I would go to your further education college and do it there because it has a better reputation. Your university might already know that college, but if you're doing it online, people might not always take it seriously. It depends on where you're going, obviously. Okay, last question. What about perks of being a teacher? Holidays? Are you happy with your salary? Is there a good progression route for teacher? Okay, let's take it in parts. Perks of being a teacher? Yes, it's good. It's not for everyone. It's good in a way that, at least in my opinion, it's good because I'm finally doing something that I love. I'm working with children. There's a certain routine that we follow. I'm not just babysitting, I'm educating them. I'm passing on knowledge. It's something that I've always wanted to do, and to finally be able to do it, it's been such a pleasure. It's been an honor, really, to do it. So I love my job right now. So yes, holidays. We don't get as many holidays as people think. People think we get paid to do nothing, especially over the summer, but it's not exactly like that. We do get a few days off every 6 weeks or so for half term, but I was just talking to my friend the other day. When you're swimming, you have your head underwater, but every now and again you have to come up for a quick breath and go back down again. That's what teaching is like, okay? That half term is you coming up for a bit of water, a bit of air, and going back down again. During half term, teachers aren't home with their feet up, drinking tequila. Sorry, my camera died, so we're gonna finish the video on my phone. I hope that's okay. Anyway, as I was saying, we don't really get a lot of holidays. Contrary to what most people believe, we don't get paid for summer holidays. Teachers only get paid for 10 months in a year. We only get paid for the time we're in school. Some teachers choose to earn a little bit less every month so that they have a bit of a cushion over the summer. You can choose whether you're paid your full salary for 10 months or you're paid a little bit less and spread it out for 12 months. So we don't get paid for summer, even though we're still working. Yeah, teachers are always working. Even if you might think, oh no, but there's no school in July and August, or, you know, in England, just August, sorry. In Northern Ireland, we stop school at the end of June, but anyway. Yeah, we're still working. It takes us a couple of weeks to actually switch off and stop thinking about things we have to do. We have an endless to-do list. As a teacher, you're gonna have an endless to-do list, and that's okay. Just get comfortable with it. You will get through it. Yes, we're still working over the summer. We're getting ready for the next year, especially if you've been moved to a different year group. You have to get familiar with their new curriculum. I have a problem with that word. See, for all of you struggling with your English is hard, okay? Yeah, you need to get familiar with a whole different set of topics that you have to teach. You have to get ready for next year. You don't switch off for the first 2 weeks of your holiday. You don't. Then you get a few days when you can actually relax, and then you're back at school about a week before the children come in to get the room ready, to get your lesson plans ready. So, you know, it's a lot of work, but I love it. You know, the rest of the question, sorry, my phone is up there now so I can actually look at the question. I think you said something about salary and progression. Yes, the starting salary varies depending on where you live. If you live in Northern Ireland, if you live in England, if you live in London, if you're in Scotland, Wales, it depends on where you live. So, but there is a progression, there's an annual progression. I think it's in September that you go up on the pay scale. I think it's in September. Anyway, I'm in my second year, so I'm in the second pay scale category, and every year you're gonna go ahead to the next one automatically. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm happy because I know I'm going to be promoted every year. It's a clear pathway, you know. You do need to be observed before you move on from the main pay scale to the upper pay scale. You need to be observed by someone before you go on to the upper pay scale, but that's it really. I don't think there's anything too drastic or too dramatic around that. No, yeah, that's it really. Guys, that's all the questions. That's all the questions. Thank you so much for sending your questions in. I really appreciate it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have anything to talk about. So thank you. If you have any more questions, if there's anything you want me to do, you know, a whole video on maybe, anything you actually need, let me know down below. Because I don't want to keep making videos that you're not interested in. I want to actually help. So, thank you so much for sending in questions. Thank you for watching. Thank you for interacting with me in any way, really. And yeah, I hope this video has been helpful in some way to at least one of you. And that's it, guys. This video is long enough, I think, so I'm gonna stop here. But if you have any more questions, leave them down below, and then I'll do another video at some point in the future answering all the questions again. All right? Right, that's it. Now, I usually talk about books, so if you're interested in books, especially middle grade books and fantasy, please subscribe to my channel. Yeah? Like, subscribe, click the bell, leave a comment if you feel like chatting or if you have a question or anything like that. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.